What I'm showing you here is, this is the existing property as it stands today. Can you guys hear me? Is this any better now?
Yeah.
Is it better? Does it sound like the
It's
board?
better.
So this is the original property that's, back in the 2000s was planned as a PRD, a planned residential development, of which 141 of the units have been constructed. So the plan for Maronda is to come in here and try to finish the plan. So right now you can see there's a lot of open space wooded area. This is the only part that's been constructed. The proposed plan would create an additional 275 single-family houses. Just single families proposed. Over here right now, there's some townhouses through here. We're gonna continue that with single-family houses. And the rest of the development will be all single-family houses. With that development, we're leaving. So we're gonna have a total of 416 houses now, a reduction of 235 from the previous approved 626 houses. We're also gonna have, with this new layout here, we're gonna be leaving a lot of the areas in the perimeter undisturbed. So there's gonna be approximately, out of the 173 acres remaining where we're gonna do our work, there's gonna be 98 acres of open space left with this. Access into the site will be off of Patterson Road, coming through here, cul-de-sac road, and then here, everything's gonna kind of loop through itself. We are proposing an emergency access road that will come off of the road here and through the development here. That will be a gated access road that will be there for emergencies only. That will be a gated access road.
No questions right now. You'll have your opportunity at the conclusion of the presentation.
List the name of the road.
Man, we can't have interruptions because this thing will just drag out. Ask your question at the end of this presentation. Go ahead.
Say the road name.
Yeah, the connecting road with the emergency access will be off of Finley Avenue. It's gonna connect onto Finley Avenue. But it's gonna be a gated road. So as far as the project right now, we've gone through, with the land development, or I'm sorry, with the conditional use, we've gone ahead, prepared preliminary plans. There's still, we still gotta go through the land development process, do the MPDS permitting, all the utilities. So right now, this is step one, just to get the use and density, for the project. But as you can see, there will be stormwater management throughout the site. The roads will meet the township requirements. There's gonna be sidewalks, new roads, new sidewalks, and all single-family houses. Anything else, Brad?
That's it. I just want to say that Maronda's been working with the township to form an agreement which will allow the former developer to complete a lot of the missing items in the first phases of the plan that have been missing for many years now. So upon closing of the sale of the property to Maronda, the former developer will have a 9-month period to address many of the outstanding issues, hopefully all of them, that you might have here tonight. We, from Maronda, are not part of the correction of the existing problems, but we're here. I just want you to know that they are the guys. Without the sale of this property, the problems that you have right now will not be addressed. So if Maronda goes through with this and the sale is made, they will be able to have the monies to complete address those issues. It is a reduction of over 200 units from the original approved plan, much less traffic throughout the plan. I know there's only one public entrance into the site. The other one's going to be an emergency, but it is a reduction of over 200 lots. That's what the main issues we want to bring up.
Does the board at this time have any questions?
I have one question. So, the emergency access road coming out to Finley, is it gonna come to Finley until it gets to Boyka, or is it gonna go all the way down Finley? Finley's very thin.
Yeah, so
Little cliff.
what you see right now, you see the dark lines that are here. That's the end of the paved Finley.
Okay.
That's where the last house is, 142. We're just gonna continue from there and do a gravel path all the way back to our site. We're not touching, from here forward, we're not touching that.
Okay, so chances are the access would be this section of Finley and then on to Boyka.
That could be, yeah, it's gonna,
This here is like really.
it's gonna be gated, and then, once you get
Okay.
through here, go wherever you have to go.
Okay.
Any further questions, Mr. Dupree?
Not yet.
Thank
Thank you.
Just some housekeeping. At this point in time, I'd like to have someone make a motion to place in evidence the following exhibits. Exhibit A would be the agenda for today. Exhibit B would be an email dated March 4th, 2025 from Gateway. Exhibit C will be a March 3rd, 2025 letter from Gateway to the Township and TJ Stevens. Exhibit D would be the letter March 4th, 2025 from Gateway Engineers to TJ and the Township. Exhibit E would be a draft HOA document, which has some errors, I believe. South Bay Township, I thought. Exhibit F would be a drawing saying Tuscany Estates, planned residential dwelling. Exhibit G would be the proof of publication for today's public hearing. Exhibit H would be an email from Tammy Stenson to my office and TJ Stevens showing that it has attached the proof of the certified receipts. Exhibit I would be basically a letter dated February 11th, 2025 from Banks and Engineers, TJ Stevens to the Township Planning Commission. Exhibit J would be the conditional use application before us today. Exhibit K would be the legal notice that was submitted to the newspaper. And Exhibit L would be the tripartite agreement, which is being referred to by Alberto in terms of the sale of the property. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to enter into exhibit, or enter into evidence exhibits A through L. Any second?
Second.
Carl Hanford, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any further questions at this time, Ms. Dupree?
No, other than, I think there's gonna be some questions on the tri-party agreement. As he brought it up in his speech that, I don't know that I didn't hear some people in the audience questioning, how that's gonna happen. I don't know how many people are familiar with the tri-party, so I didn't know if you wanted to,
Well,
we can wait till they,
we'll keep moving.
Okay.
Ms. Banham, do you have any questions, concerns?
I know you said it's a reduction in the number of homes. Without the reduction, was it originally going to have two entrances or just always one entrance?
Based on the previous plans, they had more than one entrance. There was an entrance off of the neighborhood back here that you guys are referring to, down through here, probably onto Brownsville Road.
Brown.
88.
Yeah,
So you're talking that Boyka's plan of,
yeah, the Boyka Plan homes, yes, which those roads we mentioned at the planning commission meeting, those are very narrow roads, as they are now. I mean, they're 16 feet wide. If you're lucky, you can barely get two cars through there.
Okay.
So that's what, we kept everything through Patterson, which is a much wider road, and then we do have the emergency access for any emergency if the engines get blocked off.
Anything further, Ms. Benham? Mr. Hanford, any questions or comments?
Is that gonna be a gravel road?
I mean, right now, we're saying it's a gravel. If we have to pave it to the start of or to meet the other road that's there, we can do that, but for now, I mean, it may not be used, it may be more of like a walking trail for some of the residents to go down there and walk back and forth, but,
It all depends how that's done. It could grow up with all kinds of crap.
yeah, so I mean, if you pave it, it may never be used and it'll be paved. If you leave it gravel, same thing, it could overgrow. But, I mean, I think that's something you guys can decide if you want it paved or if you want it to be gravel, we'll do either or.
Any further, Mr. Hanford?
No,
Mr. Spear?
I just have a point of clarification. The emergency access is going to be onto Patterson Road or through the Boyka Plan?
So it's gonna be to the Boyka Plan. If you look over here,
Okay, that's proposed.
yep, so this is proposed. We have stormwater ponds here, which will need an access road for maintenance.
Yeah.
Once you go past that access road of the ponds, you can continue through. There's already a path here. There's already a right of way that's kind of already graded out. We're just gonna go ahead and stone that and have that be connecting right onto here. I'm sorry, this road right here,
Right.
this Finley Road right here.
Right.
Yep.
What do you guys use as far as historically, traditionally, calling an emergency access? As far as making it, limited to who can come in and out, whether a gate or,
Yeah.
we had another proposal the other day that talked about bollards that you could ride over and they could back up or something like that.
This is just gonna be your typical gate, you know, that you have across
Yeah.
the road, and the key is gonna be, the fire department will have access to that key.
Police
To
department.
go out there, yeah, they will have access, they will be the only ones that will have access, I mean, I don't see any, maybe the HOA may have access to it.
Yeah,
but,
the EMC
Yep.
or EMS and all those guys. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Alberto, the road off of the Boyka plant, is that a paper street or is that,
Well, that was part of the paper street that was there, yeah, and we left that as a paper street, I think, to this day, it's still a paper street.
when you say you left it, I mean,
Is it, well, we did some of the vacating of the other,
Okay.
but that one right there is still there in place.
alright, so that's still, right. And basically you're gonna use like a lockbox system on top in terms of that gate?
Yeah, it's just gonna be like kinda like just your typical metal gate with two posts, and then it's gonna have the lock on it.
Ms. Denson, you have any questions, concerns at this time?
Not at this time.
Mr. Steve, do you have any questions, concerns at this time?
No, I'll wait for my
Presentation?
agenda item, yep.
Alright. Ms. Carey, you have any questions, concerns at this time?
No.
Alright, at this point in time, the people have the right to ask questions or comments about it. So, the best way to handle it is we're gonna start at the front row. The gentleman with the black shirt, you have any questions, concerns? No. You have any questions, concerns, ma'am?
No.
Ms. Cole, any questions? Ms. Puglisi, you're not part of this process?
I am not.
Sir, you have any questions, concerns?
Yes, I
Your
do.
name and address, please?
Christopher Coppola, it's Coppola. My address is 126 Tuscany Estates Drive. If I may.
Yes.
So a couple questions. Because I know like the previous, so like here on this side street, are these homes now?
That's gonna be just two flag lots. Yeah, that's gonna be just two larger flag lots.
Can you explain what that is, people? that don't know what
Almost
it
like,
is?
those are gonna be 5 acre lots, that's gonna be more like estate lots, two estate lots. Before the plan showed cul-de-sac and houses here.
Yeah.
We're not doing that, that's just gonna be two single family houses.
I know originally in the plan, this was supposed to be a playground for kids. That never happened. And then first off, you have, I mean, obviously, you guys know 14 Tuscany Estates, which is right around here, that is a danger to everybody and kids, you name it. But I think my biggest concern, and everybody's here, is the amount of property that you still have with one entry. I've been in law enforcement and a first responder for a long time, and when I counted the number of homes, I still couldn't believe that you all are proposing one entry, even though there's a emergency access way. I can tell you that if my house is on fire, my house is getting robbed, my kids are in need of emergency medical service, the one thing I don't want is a delay to enter way down here to try to make my way in this maze that's been created with homes. And it's kind of still unbelievable that that's a reduction. And even now, where I live, somewhere around here, somewhere here, that the amount of traffic just from these and the people that speed that live in homes down here, you add 300, almost 300 plus houses to this, it's gonna turn into a war zone for my kids and all the kids on this street. So my proposal, at least an idea for the Board of Supervisors to think about, would be put a gate here, block off all the new homes, separate it, create a new entrance somewhere, make it a whole new entity.
Could you
So
tell
to
me
speak.
where you were saying the gate, just, I have
So,
one in front of
right-
me, but where are you saying?
Here is kind of like the intersection that separates the old plan
Okay,
and the new plan, other than here.
okay, so that's
So-
on Tuscany Estates.
Yeah,
Drive.
Tuscany and
Okay.
I can't remember what the little side street's called. There's like six.
Barragio.
Barragio, yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
So-
Barragio's the cul-de-sac, or the circle over here, then
Yep.
you have Cervera.
So if you were to gate that, put your emergency access gate there for any responders going to here, create a new entry somewhere in this whole maze to mitigate all this traffic that's gonna start to happen, because, I mean, as you guys know, it's no fault on the township. We don't have police. We have Monongahela police, which, yes, we do have officers that are here either occasionally or they're back in Monongahela on the call. So, you know, the kicker with that is that if something were to happen and you have all these responders trying to show up from potentially South Park, maybe you have the state police happen to be driving by. Like I said, this delay that you're just gonna create by an emergency access gate, I think you're gonna be so when I was a firefighter, we had keys. I mean, the thing was this big. It was like a janitor to a college. And we would have to open up certain boxes and things like that at some of the businesses, churches, schools, you name it. They were firebox keys. It took me, I kid you not, 1 hour to go through that whole key ring of keys that were all marked to find the one key to open that box. How many keys are they gonna have to open this access gate, and what is that delay gonna cause? But then back to it with the war zone for kids. How many families are here and you're creating all this with one entrance? It blows my mind. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a response to that, gentlemen?
We've studied this site extensively. It's up on a bluff, surrounded by very steep hillsides, very tall. The only other possible entrance into and out of this site is through the Boyka plant. That's the only physically possible location for an entrance. So no matter what, if it's a second entrance or an emergency entrance, it's coming through the Boyka plant.
Sounds like unfortunately there's too many houses in your proposal. If you can only give us one entrance to 500,
I could see
almost 500 homes.
Right from here.
She's taking notes, hold on.
You know, that's just my kind of rebuttal to that response. Where if the land's not suitable enough to make it accommodating for this new community and the current one, then sorry, almost 300 homes isn't going to do it. We're 200 less. I can't believe that it's even that 200 was even on the board in the first place.
Well, the plan that you purchased a lot in was for 626 units.
Well, this is the thing. I'm brand new. I moved here in October of 23. I had no idea about any of this. And there's homes already going up for sale where I live because of this situation. And people are my neighbors next door vacated. They're gone. They're not even waiting for their house to sell because they know about the terror that's about ready to happen. Then also you put on the construction. Are you creating construction roads? Are you going to create separate entrances for all these vehicles that are going to be moving all the trees, rock, asphalt? Where I work now at a federal facility, we have major construction going on right now, and it is unreal the amount of dump trucks, concrete trucks, pickup trucks, bulldozers that are going in and out of where I work. And you put that and allow them just to use our main drag, it's not going to destroy the road, but again, it's going to be a war zone for all the families and kids that are playing outside. And I already don't like my kids playing on the street because of the traffic that I see with just the people that speed on my road. So you do that with one road, one entrance. It's I think people are going to get hurt. That's what's going to happen. That's going to be the reality of it. People are going to get hurt. Kids are going to get hurt. You know, you have your construction guy that just did a double all week, and he's going to turn into, he's tired. He doesn't see the 3-year-old playing with his toys with his friends in the middle of the road, and they're going to get run over by a dump truck.
Could the Boyka Road or plan have a road go through that is wide enough to handle the traffic?
Boyka plan, the road system would have to be reconstructed
You would
the
need
whole way
one,
to Route 88 to comply with the township's current road requirements.
It sounds like if you have enough money to build that much and make that much money, you can build a road.
The reality of land development is this project is marginal as we're proposing. With construction costs and the way the world is now. Any extra off-site improvements means the project goes away and nothing happens with whatever's left on the table from the original.
I think the decision should have been considered in the beginning.
Yeah.
You look from the beginning then?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
taking it over. And the guy's what he's talking about.
The question I have, the gentleman raised the issue.
Sir.
I'm referring to you. The gentleman raised the issue concerning construction and the use of those roads during construction. Are you going to be using the current road system to access the construction site?
Yes. It's the same with every residential plan I've been working on in the last 40 years. It's just what happens.
Did every residential plan already have 100+ homes in an area?
Yes.
And then adding almost 400 homes on top of that with one single in and out road? When I was gonna build a house, just something to think about for the supervisor, sorry I keep talking. They were like, okay, well, you need to spend money to build a construction entrance. I was like, well, how much is that gonna cost? Well, it'll probably be about 35, 40,000 with where I was looking. And then you're gonna have your driveway that'll get paved. I was like, okay, so they're gonna use this construction entrance while they're building the driveway and they're building the rest of the house. Yes, that's correct. Great. Why is that not even a thought? Why would the engineers in Maronda be, because it's money. It's all about money. The amount of money I can assume, because I know where I work, we have hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown around of taxpayer dollars for construction. And, you know, it's all about the bottom line. And I mean, you're probably gonna be putting up homes that are gonna be $500,000, $600,000 houses times 275, I believe is now the proposed number. Yet you don't wanna spend, say, an extra $1 million, $2 million on building a wider road off of the road that is already proposed for this emergency access.
Let me ask you this question also. I looked at some of the exhibits, letters from you folks to TJ, and TJ had a comment about traffic impact study. I had this the other night someplace else. Have you done a traffic impact study with the number of homes for this property?
No, we just realized that it is a reduction of about 35% over what was approved. So it's this, significant reduction. At least to start the project off, should have no impact on what was approved before.
But that was approved for 2 roads,
One at a
correct?
time, please.
I apologize, but that was approved for 2 roads.
You'll have to say your name if you could for the stenographer.
Jason Lewis, 6315 Jack Street.
Thank you.
That was approved for 2 roads, not just the one.
Is that
Now-
correct?
Correct.
Now, how much wider is Patterson than the road going through the Boykin plant?
Wider, I think Patterson's about 24 feet wide. And
It's tight even getting like 2 larger trucks going up.
That's your typical road, I mean,
Yeah.
24 feet, 20,
Yeah.
you see anywhere between 22 and 26. But the Boyka plan, I mean, I was going off of the Google area, and it's 16, 17, it's narrow, I mean,
It's super,
I was up there last
I've
year,
walked it.
it's narrow.
The grades are
Yeah.
very steep.
Oh, it's,
There's no,
oh,
there's
it's
no, there's no,
tremendous.
there's no horizontal curve.
Hey, guys,
We're here for the
One at a
road.
time, 'cause she's taking transfer, okay? So when he talks, you stop, and you talk.
Even
That's
the
okay.
horizontal geometry of those roads, they don't have curves, it's just hard angles and steep slopes.
Correct.
And the right of way is very narrow too, that's the other thing, trying to widen the road. I wanna say that right of way through there is probably just 33 feet wide, 40 feet wide, so, it's not like the ones we do now, they're 50 feet wide.
Yeah.
So you have the room for sidewalks in the street and the curbing and all that.
Correct.
So,
TJ, sorry, go ahead. you were saying something, I interrupted you.
And then we made it to the first.
I know, TJ, traffic impact study, is that something that you think should be done?
Yeah, Dennis, it's one of the comments on our list. And certainly there's some recognition that, you know, the original plan of lots was laid out many, many years ago and had however many, 600 houses. You know, I have a copy of the master plan here from 2006. You know, I haven't ever seen a traffic study from before. You know, I think there's gotta be some recognition that a significant amount of time has passed since even 2006 master plan. And, you know, the ordinance requires a traffic impact study, and I think one should be provided.
So do you have a copy of that traffic impact study?
No.
Well, I think that's something I think we need to take a look at, by the way. I've been doing, it seems like I'm doing developments all over the place, but I think it'd be prudent for you folks to submit a traffic impact study so the engineer can review that, okay? All right. So now over to the second row, I'm going over this situation.
Gentleman in the turquoise shirt.
Blue glass, no, no, over
Now
that
you're
way.
over that way.
No? You come to the meetings all the time, you're always asking. Ma'am? All right, sir?
I have two comments or
All right, so
questions.
you-
My name is Ed Drake of Eurasia.
T-R-A-K-E?
Yep. The first thing you mentioned, I think, was that this is separate, so can I assume from that that it's a separate HOA?
They haven't finalized that, but I believe that's the intent.
But hey, let's use all the Tuscany Estates houses and
And
roads.
they're not even our roads and not even the townships, right? I'm
Okay,
sorry.
one at a time, please,
Yeah, I
please.
apologize.
Go ahead, sir.
And then the second question is, I think, pretty obvious, we need to talk a little bit about it, and that's what you already mentioned, is this tri-party agreement, which, from the HOA perspective, at least the last meeting I was at, which has been before Christmas, it was supposed to be agreed in the fall. So I'm wondering, what is the holdup? Why, what's the issue with that not already being agreed?
I believe the thing is, the agreement provides that upon closing with Maronda and Quaker, so I don't know what the status of that is yet. We do have the gentleman here from Quaker tonight, we can ask him that question, all right? He's there, I saw him walk in somewhere.
So are you saying are you saying that it is agreed, it's just, it won't be signed until the closing?
It's executed.
Oh, it is
It's
executed?
executed, but basically, the money passes hands upon a certain issue.
Okay, so the agreement already exists, it's just a matter of the money changing hands before the 9 months kicks in?
There's a certain catalyst to that.
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Any questions or comments?
Just so you know, no developer closes on a property until he gets all the approvals from the
Sure,
township,
sure.
all the various agencies. Then there's a close.
Yeah, I just didn't know that the agreement was actually signed.
It's been signed.
Okay.
All right, then we go to the third row, ma'am? Sir? Mr. Guido? Yeah, Mr. Guido.
Please state your name for the stenographer.
Hey, Guido, 125 Reggio Way.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear your first name.
Peter,
Go
Guido,
your last time, please.
Guido, 125 Reggio Way.
Thank you.
With all this extra green space, there's gotta be a way to connect right here or right over here somewhere.
Stand on the other side of me.
There's gotta be a way to get another
The
way.
elevation change is well over 100 feet, and the slopes of the terrain is in places steeper than 40%.
The elevation on Tuscany Estates Drive is the same.
No, they
It's
use.
just going downhill on that
This
side.
is what we engineers have to use, the flatter topography to use for roadways and home lots. The steep topography, it's not usable. This is like an island.
Yeah, I believe that there should be a second entrance, like this gentleman said, safety reasons.
Cut it
You know,
off.
if there's a hurricane or a tornado comes through on Tuscany Estates
Like
Drive,
tonight.
we're gonna be stuck. That's all I have.
Thank you, Pete. Sir, state your name and address, please.
James Ross, 6 Cinco Terra Place. I don't even know what to say about this, okay? First of all, how many ordinances are being requested to have variances to? I looked at these documents and not all of what you're putting in as exhibits were available for me to review. Now, that was a good while ago, and township manager tried very hard to get everything for me before I went away, and she got most of it. But a lot of those documents that you were referencing were not available for review, including the agreement, the tri-party agreement, which at this point you know is a sore subject because everything in our project depends on them closing. So I kind of feel like we are being held hostage to carry this out so that this can be sold to Maronda with all these variances, and it shouldn't be, okay? You put these variances in place to protect us people, and you're not going to.
Okay, 1 second, let me interrupt you. Are there any variances, TJ, that you're aware of?
I mean, there's a host of modifications that are being requested.
Would you
Those are-
please explain them all?
Can I go over?
Variances to an
Can I go over the modifications?
But they're not, there's no variances. The variance is a zoning issue. But he's requesting modifications of conditional use. But no
Don't we-
zoning. You use the word variances, that's just,
Well, aren't we changing the ordinance that says that there has to be more than one entrance for over 40 homes?
we're not changing the ordinance, but that's something that,
What are we doing if we're gonna allow a temporary,
well, nothing, this hasn't been granted yet, so.
well, no,
What's on the table?
thank you. What's on the table has a lot of variations to our ordinances. And I'm surprised that this board will even let them go any further.
Keep in mind, what we have to do, is they made an application for conditional use. Underneath the law, we have to grant a public hearing, and basically we have to give him the right to say his position, and the township give their position. If we don't have the public hearing, then it becomes deemed approved, then it's a problem. But we have to go through this process.
Fine.
But again, going through these documents, some of these documents were just drafted in the past, end of March and early April.
But they're all part of this conditional use
They are.
application that weren't available to see.
When did you ask for those documents?
It was before I left for
When
Florida.
did you leave?
In the end of February.
So probably the ones you didn't get are the ones that came in April, and most of these documents, like the mailings, that was just in the last few weeks. The letters from banks and so forth were in April. I just think that the ones that you didn't get might have the proof of publication, that was since February. April 18th was the letter from TJ. I think that maybe they just were after.
They very well could have been,
And
but
you're welcome to look at these after the meeting. Okay?
thank you. I asked the board to please hold up your ordinances. I want to see Maronda take this over for all the purposes that we need to get our stuff finished, which is, I've now been there 18 years, okay, and lived in a community that has been unfinished and pretty much ignored. And letting it continue and go on with adding 275 more homes, this man's absolutely correct. You're asking for a disaster. I have watched Patterson, down on the bottom of Patterson, completely flood out where you couldn't pass over in that creek down there. I could go on for hours.
Mr. Stevens, is there a floodplain down there, or floodway down there? Mr.
Along
Jones,
Patterson,
Or catch basin.
I'm not sure, I'd have to look at the FEMA maps.
okay.
Yeah, maybe there's a creek way further down. but it's
There's a
not-
creek at the bottom of the hill, right at the intersection of.
I'm sorry.
One at a time, guys. All right, this, we'll keep past that. Ma'am, next, you have any questions, concerns? State your name and address.
Terra Cerruti for Cinque Terre. I think that we do need a separate entrance and exit with all these addition of these homes. However, you're going to be putting single-family homes on 0.25. I mean, it's, you know, you're gonna have disasters with that. Not only, what if one of them catches on fire, they're all gonna go up in a pile of smoke. I mean, it just, I think it's necessary that we do need another egress and ingress into that plan. And I agree with this gentleman here. I mean, we need something to help our children there, cause it's already, the road is already busy. I mean, I think we need to get Quaker out of our plan. I do agree with that. I do believe that, Maronda is gonna help us in some way, shape, or form, but I think we need to do it the right way, and follow the ordinances. Thank
Are you
you.
done? What attempts have you made to look into a second entrance off of, is that Patterson Road? Or, Bennyville Rama Road? Have you guys made any attempts to look at that?
Yes, we have. There's no physical way of getting a second entrance off of Patterson all the way back to the western portion of the city.
Hey, guys,
Always a way.
Always a way. This is Pennsylvania. We gotta limit.
we're taking it, what attempts did you make to look into that? Have you made?
We've studied this for 3 years now. We've looked at this many times.
They're looking at the cheapest way.
That's right.
Let me ask this question, and again, I always remember I went to Hawaii, to Maui. You've been to Maui at all? Mount Haleakala? They have these hairpin turns going up and down. Is that something you could probably do?
Correct.
Because it's real, we got, Mount Haleakala is about over 10,000 feet high. And when you get up there, you have to drive, you gotta go off all these, is that something, if you look into that aspect? I mean, I'm not an engineer.
That will not any shape meet the township's criteria for a public road design. Minimum radius, is it 150?
200.
200 foot minimum radius of a roadway, that's a 400-foot diameter. Those hairpins are probably 60 foot.
So that's a non-doable situation, PJ?
I mean, yeah, Pat's right. The horizontal curve minimum centerline radius for a local road is 200 feet.
And what's the maximum slope, 10 or 12%?
The maximum street grade on a local road is 12%. Collector's 12%. Arterial is 7.5%. So.
And you gotta remember too, you're cutting your fill slopes. I mean, some of the stuff you see in Hawaii, you see vertical slopes here, you gotta continue a 2-to-1 slope, on each side. So you're gonna be cutting.
You can't.
Can't do that?
Unless, to meet your ordinance, you can't climb up there that fast, that short of a distance.
Is there a way that they could do that, and maybe we could give relief in terms of the ordinance? You took the, I'm not an engineer, I'm just trying to figure out a solution, I guess.
I mean, Union Township ordinance requires any subdivision with more than 40 lots to have at least 2 points of vehicular access. Now, the ordinance doesn't define what vehicular access actually means. Is it an emergency access point for in or out, or is it a access point that is 24 feet wide and meets Union Township specifications for a public road? That's not made clear in the ordinance. I can tell you what the ordinance says. Sitting here studying this, from an urban planning standpoint, it's cause for concern having that many homes relying upon Patterson Road as the only true means of ingress and egress. That's concerning. I haven't studied this site quite as intimately as the gentlemen from Gateway have. We're certainly not designing it, they are. And, connecting back down to Patterson Road is somewhat difficult from a property standpoint. I don't believe that the applicants own all the way to Patterson Road. That's part problematic, part one there. The second issue is that, once you get a couple hundred feet south of the intersection with Tuscany Estates Drive, you have an overhead railroad crossing there, and then the railroad is actually in between the Tuscany Estates property and Patterson Road. So, you know, you'd be dealing with a railroad crossing to get back from the plan of lots to Patterson Road if you're any further south than a couple hundred feet on Patterson Road. So that makes Patterson Road difficult to access. You know, Route 88 is not very far away from this portion of their plan of lots on the easel here, but it's incredibly steep to get down there, which makes that difficult. Connecting out to Finleyville Rainbow Road, you know, it's a possibility, but again, pretty steep there. And again, I don't know if the applicants own the property all the way to the road. I don't believe that you do, right? So, and then, you know, just looking at all the options that are on the board here, to get a second vehicular access, you know, I think the logical thing to do is connect into the Boyka plan, and one thing that could be looked at is making that a true connection point. And, you know, you'd potentially have through traffic there, but you'd have some redundancy between the two plans of lots. I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario by any means, but I think it's better than having two independent plans of lots that only have really one access to another road. So it's a problem. It's a problem.
Sir, may I make a 10-second statement? Just 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
I think the big thing that everybody needs to kind of look at is that it almost feels like the Maronda and the engineering company are trying to build more houses on a property that has no means or sense to build more houses on. They're trying to make magic happen just to make more money, and it just seems like it's more of a danger to all the families that are living there.
Just to finish my thought, Dennis, in preparation for the meeting here, I reviewed some documents that have been given to us from the township, and one of them is this. There's a master plan dated June 2nd, 2006. It's titled Tuscany Estates Proposed, and then in parentheses, Phasing Plan. There were 17 construction phases on this entire build out coming from Patterson Road back towards the Boyka plan, and there were 3 connection points proposed into the Boyka plan. There was going to be one on Finley, there was going to be one on Boyka, and there was going to be one on Norton. So I haven't seen all the construction drawings that were proposed for that, but at one point in time, there were going to be 3 points of connection in addition to Patterson Road into the Boyka plan, and those 2 plans were intended to be, you know, connected. So that's some additional context for the discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where was that? Ma'am, state your name.
Good evening, Lisa Burkhart, attorney for Tuscany Estates Homeowners Association. To elaborate on what TJ was just saying, is there any potential to make this a permanent ingress and egress access point, and also installing a gate entry system whereby Tuscany Estate residents would have a fob or a code, thereby limiting the traffic or the cut-through potential?
Are you talking about the Boyka plan?
I'm talking about taking the emergency access that's being proposed, making it a permanent access point, and gating it.
That's the Boyka plan I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay. That's what we raised the issue right now about having a fob or having some type of thing.
She wants it to be an access, not just an emergency.
I understand, that's what she's talking about, that's the area she's talking about.
Right, so I would like the engineers to address whether that's a possibility to find some sort of middle ground while still cutting down on the cut-through and the traffic and the safety issues.
And just one other thing, I'm not, connecting the 2 plans is by no means a perfect situation. I mean, I drove through every road in the Boyka plan today. It's narrow, it's very steep, like Alberto and Pat mentioned. The roads are not wide. And you do have a possibility for through traffic. That's just the bottom line when you connect 2 plans of lots of this nature. But, you know, I think it's something that the board strongly needs to consider as part of this is accessing this proposed Maronda plan of lots. And one plan of lots, in my mind, is not, or one access point rather, is not sufficient.
So to that point, can we put in a gated access system as a part of what we would require of Maronda during development, thereby cutting down on cut through? Is that a possibility?
Is that a possibility, folks?
I think the township would have to make that decision. I've never had a gated public road. I think that goes against the,
You cannot get liquid fuels for it. I mean, if we did that, we couldn't apply for receiving fuels from a gated road. You're right.
I couldn't hear what you said, Mr. Michael.
It basically, he's raised the issue that in order to receive liquid fuels from the state, you basically can't have gates over roads in certain situations like that. And that's what he's referring to.
Then,
Sure.
if that happens, then it would never be a township road, therefore have to be maintained by the HOA.
It can be maintained by the HOA.
And you have two HOAs. Who would
Well,
maintain it?
let's focus, because that HOA thing raised an interest in me. Let's focus on the road. I guess that's something possibly could happen in the project, I don't know. But that,
I don't know that it would cut down on that much traffic.
is there anyone here from the Boyka plan at all?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
So then they're gonna be upset about all.
I just think that we taking Patterson Road going to the Tuscany to get to Boyka. I think that they're more concerned with the already, you know, like just even the amount of people from Tuscany that would go to Giant Eagle. I think that's more concern. I don't think it would be a cut through road for someone like me that just happened to be at Suzanne's house in Patterson or something. I wouldn't go through Tuscany and get to, you know, I think that wouldn't be, I think they're more concerned from the cut through from Tuscany to the convenience to get to Giant Eagle and the other things.
Hey, wait, I'm sorry, we're making a record here.
My
Sorry.
concern would be a private road with a fob. I was actually thinking the whole time he was talking that the fire department today opened the door for me remotely. So gates don't need keys. They could have some sort of, if it was an emergency exit, they could have some sort of remote access to that gate. But as far as it being a gated public road or even a quasi-public road, then the HOA would have to own that road and maintain that road. It would never be a township road with a gate. I don't know.
But since you're here, the question they said, have a second HOA. What's your position on that, Ms. Burkhardt?
With the additional units?
Yes.
Well, there's a lot involved there, as you well know. I'm not even sure that that's possible under the Uniform Plan Community Act.
That's what I'm commenting. When I heard that, that's sort of.
This was always anticipated as a part of the development, so this isn't really a new concept. The problem is, it was approved with only one method of ingress and egress. So we're trying to find a way to not provide a cut through or a burden or a safety issue to the Boyka plan while completing the development. But I think everybody agrees it's not safe with one method of ingress and egress.
I agree. But the concept is the HOA situation. I think you would oppose a second HOA, am I correct?
I would have to research it further, but yes, my instant answer would be yes.
I have a question. I heard you say that it could never be a township road because of the slope, that other thing, the Patterson Road. But could it be, if there could be an emergency access road on Patterson that wouldn't go through Boyka, allowing emergency access in a different location? Is that possible? I heard you say about the slope and it couldn't be.
Maronda does not own the property necessary to.
Maronda does it, okay, that answers that for me.
Any else, Ms. Burkhardt?
You said Maronda doesn't own the property. Are you saying neither Maronda or Quaker? Because I don't think Maronda owns any property.
Maronda has a sales agreement, I'm just referring to them as having.
Okay. I just wanted clarity.
Yeah, they don't own any property here right now.
And in the area that you were just referring to, neither Maronda nor Quaker own it.
Correct.
Understood, thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Burkhardt?
No, thank you.
Nothing, sir?
No. How about like
Could you just state your name one more time?
Yeah, sorry. Jason Lewis, 6315.
It's L-E-W-I-S, correct?
L-E-W-I-S. How about like the wildlife? A lot of that's a wooded area with, there's a lot of wildlife in it. A lot of deer, a lot of turkeys, a lot of coyotes. Did they look into that at all, where them deer are gonna go?
I don't think that's our problem.
Yeah, we don't have.
It's
No,
not.
no, how about, no, you guys like,
No,
nah, I'm
however-
just trying to bring up a.
However, tremendous acreage is being left here, right? No, Bert, how many acres?
98 acres.
98 acres of mostly wooded ground is going to be dedicated to open space.
But that's off of 170, you said, correct?
That's totally surrounding.
You can see all the, this is all,
Yeah.
this is all undisturbed wooded area all through here.
Correct, but you're gonna go from 170 all the way down to 90. You don't, no reason for disease for deer, no CWD, nothing of that sort?
CWD,
Chronic waste disease, it's kind of pertinent here in PA, you've had it.
certain parts it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming closer. I think putting all them deer down into 90 acres,
All right.
it would show up here.
That would be something for the game commission, I believe, to worry about. But
Oh, okay. You guys don't worry about animals at all?
unless it's a certain.
But that's
unless it's a
not
certain type of
nice.
bat or something like that could
I
be-
wouldn't say that. It
All
wasn't
right,
funny
anything else,
either.
Louis?
I believe that's it.
Don't quit laughing.
Sir?
That's what I got.
Ma'am? All right, let me just do this, let's go this, let's go to Matt, gentleman with blue hat.
Yeah,
State your name and address, please.
Kenneth Askew.
How do you spell your last name, please?
ASKEW,
All right, go ahead, and your address?
106 Tuscany Estates Drive.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I have two easy questions. From where I'm sitting, what are the lines on the right-hand side of that?
Oh,
43.
Yeah, those lines, goes from the top to the bottom. What are those?
43.
That's Route 43.
Oh, that's Route 43. Oh, okay. And where exactly would the new road enter this development?
They don't have one.
We don't have any roads.
It's just an access, it's not a road.
It's just an emergency access.
If you're coming up on, what's the road there? Explain that. Patterson. If you're on Patterson, where do you get on to the buildings themselves?
Up through Tuscany is the only way.
Through Tuscany.
That's what they're saying.
That's all right?
Can I be addressed, please?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi,
You're right,
this is
sit down.
Askew, I'm Gail Askew, ASKEW, again, 106 Tuscany Estates. We've been there for 19 years. We were one of the very first people to buy in that development. We were told when we moved in, there would be two access because we were very concerned about the ravine that's rare as you come up the hill to Tuscany on the left. And if anything ever happened, we would never be able to get out of there. We were assured when we purchased our house that there would be two exits. Definitely, they were gonna extend, and again, we knew there were gonna be 600 and something units or homes or whatever. But there were, and I know you guys don't wanna hear our grievances on what Quaker didn't do or Maronda didn't do. We didn't get our clubhouse, we didn't get our pool, we didn't get our two parks for the kids. But the bottom line was, they assured us before we signed our contract to purchase this home through Maronda, that they'd have a second exit or entrance and exit through Boyka to get to 88. We were told that at closing, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have some documentation of that when we closed our home.
There's nothing in writing.
So, and again, I know we've been fighting with Quaker forever, and I know Maronda abandoned us, and I understand all that,
Didn't put anything.
but
in
again,
writing.
I agree with this gentleman right here. We have grandchildren now. That's really busy coming through there now. So I can't even imagine what it would be like. And right now, our roads, I think the construction, you know what it's like with construction. I mean, they're gonna just rip up the roads that are there. We're gonna be more responsible. Our HOAs fees are gonna go up, or, I don't know. I'm concerned.
So, I'm sorry, interrupted you.
It's just that they made us commitments, and you guys didn't follow through. And now we're left to live in our residence to whatever you wanna do to us. And that's not fair.
If the township were to grant the conditional use, what precautions would you make in terms of the main thoroughfare off of, I think, the Patterson Road up to your construction site? Because the road's gonna be damaged, we all know that. So what's your plan if that would happen? If the township grants conditional use? You bond the road,
I'm
but
sorry, I couldn't hear the answer.
they're gonna bond the road.
They're gonna tear it and
So-
redo it.
So to bond the road and basically, bond's 12,500 per mile, which basically wouldn't cover much. Is that, TJ, is that a paving course surface?
Yeah, it's an asphalt surface, yes.
The developer and township engineer would have to walk the path, pre-construction, document existing conditions, place a bond on the road, and after construction, another inspection is performed to see if there are any damages. If there were any, the developer would have to correct them. If not, the bond would be collected on.
Here's the problem, the bond, and I've been doing this for a long time. The bond amount is 12,500 for a paved road, correct?
Are you talking PennDOT road?
Well, it's, are you gonna bond it for whatever we say it is, or what? Because the bond is 12,500. And basically, that's what the state says we can bond. If you wanna bond more, I would wanna have that road bonded more to cover any costs or damages to that. Is that, are you willing to do that on behalf of the developer?
We're not the developer. I assume that we're going to be tabled here, and we will discuss that.
You probably will be too, but I'm saying to you, if you can bond the road, it's 12,500 per mile. That's the state law, the state rules, regulations. That won't cover that road at all. That will leave us at a dilemma. Then I have to chase after you to get the money. So I'm just saying to you that I would never agree to 12,500 per mile, because then the township gets stuck. But that's another story for another day. Sir?
Dennis?
Yes.
Can I make a comment about
Sure.
that? I understand what you're outlining there, and makes sense under ideal conditions. However, we had a comment in our letter from February 11th about this exact issue. The problem is Union Township doesn't own Tuscany Estates Drive at this point.
It's right.
And we won't own Tuscany Estates Drive until the punch list items are addressed, the road's offered for public dedication, inspected, and then accepted by the township. So we have a problem. That's an outstanding issue with this whole plan of lots, is everything that they're proposing. They have no access from a public road right now.
That's correct. We can't do an HHA then. You're right.
So it's
But
a
that's-
major obstacle at this point.
It is a major, we can,
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
I'm sorry, it's basically the HHA is not a vehicle for the township to pursue this situation. Okay? All right. Sir, any questions?
My wife is
Well, no, you're the boss, aren't you?
Margaret McKeever, 19 Boyka Drive. We recently moved 2 years ago into Boyka. We got off of Finleyville Rama away from 43 because of the traffic. I surely do not want to see any more traffic go past my house. The roads in Boyka are small, and if you got, all the roads have drop-offs, with the exception of pretty much Boyka Drive. It is steep hills. If you go down Finley, you've got houses here, so you're gonna have to take away from their property in order to widen the road, because the other side of the road is drop-off. And you're gonna propose all these houses and spend all this money. You could take money and build a road, get variances or right-of-ways from property owners along 88 to build a road out that way, towards the top of 88 of Lanks Hill. Why can't you do that? And that would give them their second entrance.
Good question.
I mean, again, when we studied
Money.
the sites, getting the access.
You put roads through mountains. You put tunnels through mountains. You mean to tell me you can't put a road off of Route 88 on a hill? You can bring in landfill.
Very steep. I mean,
Hey, guys, you can't take it down,
You're on
please.
you're on the side of a hill, like it's like this. You try to build the road, you never catch up, and then you start cutting, you never catch up on the cut, you just keep cutting. The topography is extremely.
Well, I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure there's a way that you can possibly put a road in there without going through Boyka. We don't want the way we live now to be interrupted with more traffic going through there. Let alone El Rima Fire Department would have better access from Patterson and not Boyka. I mean, there's a lot of things you need to consider, and I mean, I really feel bad for the people in Tuscany. I didn't realize how bad it was up there. So I think our board really needs to be with us and not with the money and the houses.
Yeah, is that it, ma'am?
I like that.
All right, so,
Excuse me, could I have these two gentlemen stand on this side of the
you want to stand over
table?
there, I guess? Okay, so we're gonna go to this gentleman with the blue shirt and the piece of paper in. You have anything to say, sir?
Yes. Paul
State-
Dorsch, D-O-R-S-C-H, 15 Boyka Drive. With any major construction project, usually a preliminary schedule has been developed. What are the preliminary dates for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3? In preliminary, I know, but what has been established
We
today?
have not established a schedule yet. It all depends on whether or not this project is approved, then they can start thinking about that.
Are we years off from any type of approval?
It is probably a minimum of 8 months away from any approvals.
That's if the township grants the conditional use.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Ma'am, state your name and address, please.
Laura Stumpf, S-T-U-M-P-F, 18 Boyka Drive. I've lived there 30 years. Like Peg said, we don't need any more traffic through our plan. I mean, we have kids, we have narrow roads, we're used to living in the, plan the way we have been living. In addition, I thought 30 years ago or 20 years ago, when the first plan was developed, that we got a lawyer, and I thought we fought this, and the lawyer said there could never be an access road through there. So what happened to that?
That's what they're proposing. There are certain legal issues, by the way. If they decide to if they have to widen the road. There's a case that came out of the Commonwealth Court back in 1991 or 1992. Basically said, even though you have a right-of-way or something, township, if we start expanding things to widen the road, we could get ourselves into eminent domain situation, okay?
That was gonna be another thing I just wanted to
Well,
comment on.
I
We
argue
don't
that-
have huge yards, so I don't need, 10 feet taken from my front yard and have the road next to my, porch.
I understand, ma'am. Anything else, ma'am?
No, thank you.
Mr. Dare, you're not part of this? Sir, the gentleman with the blue shirt saying something.
Yeah, my name is Matthias Schirmer. It's Matthias like Matthew.
Spell it, please.
I-A-S, M-A-T-T-H-I-A-S. Last name Schirmer is S-C-H-I-R-M-E-R. 43 Finlay Avenue in the beautiful Boyka plant. I was referring to the schedule. I mean, I'm aware there's not much going on for the next 8 months or so, but when we look at the big picture, that emergency road, which obviously affects me somewhat, living on the Finlay Avenue, when would that be built in terms of the schedule? In what phase?
That would be years away. The development has to proceed from existing plan to the west towards the.
So you're saying that would be closer to the final phase 3
Yes.
of the project? Okay.
Anything else, sir?
That's it?
And I assume you're from Germany?
You're right, yeah.
We're both from Germany then. Karen Stroop, you live in the Broker plan, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
30, Karen's Road, 39 Finley.
It's S-T-R-O-O-P?
S-T-R-O-O-P. This is the second time that we've gone through this with this passway to Tuscany. I live on Finley, which is very narrow, and you can't even really back out of our driveway because there's a guardrail, and you have to be very careful or you'll hit the guardrail. So if you take, I don't know if you're thinking about taking property, yardage away from our front yards on the Finley, because it wouldn't work. And if we have someone working on the Verizon lines, you have to go around. Sometimes you can't get through on Finley Avenue. it's that narrow. And we also have children that play in our plan. Our children don't normally play in the street, but, you know, they're running around, there's grandchildren and everything. It's a very quiet neighborhood, there's not a lot of traffic. And I just would hate to see anything happening like that, an increase in traffic. I feel bad for the people in Tuscany. I don't believe that this should be built. I'm totally against it, and listening to all these people tonight, that kind of really solidifies my ideas on this. You know, that sometimes you don't get everything you want when you want to make a lot of money. Sometimes pull back and find another place. Maybe that's a suggestion.
Sounds like a song.
Hey, Mateus plays guitar.
Yeah, I think we can put you a little.
That's all.
Thank you. Sir,
Yes,
state your name. You have something to say?
yeah, sure. My name's Keith.
How about standing up?
My name's Keith Wisbar. I live at 105 Keenan, also on 104 Keenan and 106 Keenan.
But can you spell your last name, please?
Wisbar is Wisbar.
Go ahead, sir.
Everybody has very good valid points, and I think the board should take all those in consideration because they're really impactful, especially everybody's lives and their homes and their families. The Finley Street is just a narrow street. There's no way it can be wide. It's the topology, as these gentlemen mentioned, that makes this project. I don't know why anybody would spend that kind of money to develop something with this kind of topology. I've hunted in the area. There's ravines, there's crevasses. That's why you can't get a road. But also, if you wanted to spend the money instead of using a quick out to bridge the gap between an ordinance, pave or not even pave it, gravel the Finley from the Tuscany estates over, just so you guys can make a bunch of money, is ridiculous. But there's things called bridges and stuff, but that would be too much money. Create a bridge across those crevasses so you have, and, you can take a bridge. I've been in California, man. They do all kind of stuff with bridges and overpass and stuff like that. But there's big money involved with that. But I just think this township people should be their concerns should be the residents should be addressed, the taxpayers, and we've always been put aside a lot, and things just happen, no matter what our voices are. We just can't be heard. But I'm sorry I don't have any legal information, I'm not a lawyer, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Wisbar. Is there someone sitting next to you? I can't see. Is there a gentleman with the blue hat? Anything to say, sir?
Jimmy, you wanna talk?
Could you state your name and address?
Some of the things,
Sir.
I don't name an address. As far as, my address is 132 Tuscany Estates Drive. There's a lot of things
I'm sorry,
that
sir.
go on there.
What's your name? Know your name. What's your name?
For the record,
Jim Walsh.
We have to create a record, so we need it. All right, go ahead, sir.
go ahead.
Okay. The things that need settled, even before this needs settled, nobody does anything about. How could you possibly buy property from somebody and not get the full rights when you build a clubhouse, you build a swimming pool, and you ain't allowed to use it because there's liens against the property? Okay? There's also, I'd like to say, an attractive nuisance, but it's really not attractive. And it's right on Tuscany Estates Drive. And somebody ought to tear it down or burn it down. You talk about decrease in market value of your home. To let something like that go on and drive around Finleyville a little bit, and you'll see some more that should be taken down.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
As far as the project, they had one up in Washington. their big part of the settlement was to have an emergency exit that somebody had to key if there was an emergency to get out of the plant,
How did that work?
okay? Now, who has the key?
He's not here.
And is they around when the key's needed? That man right there, he's got a handle on what things go. And I think from now, you ought to settle first things first before you go into a project that you don't even know that you can handle.
Thank you, Mr. Welch. If I can interject, I think with some of these people raising the issues,
Do you think?
the public health, safety, and welfare
I'll be quiet.
of the residents, and that's what they're raising the issue right now. And the question is, how do you respond to that with one entrance and so forth? I think that's what most of these people are raising the question right now. I mean, there's an issue, one entrance and so forth. So what's your response to that?
We will be taking this back to Maronda to see how they want to study this.
All right.
Lisa.
Wait a minute, no, he wants to say something else. One more thing.
Excuse me, just one more thing. Our entrance, Tuscany Estates Drive, shouldn't we have a nice sign there? All the other Maronda plans do. Not just one, sometimes two, and three. Okay?
That's like the first thing.
We have, respect our 25 miles an hour on that sign. Thanks.
Thank you. And you have,
My name is Lisa.
how about
and-
standing up, please?
Do I really have to? Yes.
All right, don't worry about it.
I can talk loud.
No, go talk about, yeah.
You just talk loud, Lisa. My name is Lisa Mannion. I live at 6 Grosseto Drive. My question, concern, I agree with everybody about the problem on Tuscany and getting from point A to point B. But the gentleman said at the beginning that all the problems that are still around because Quaker did not finish everything, they have 9 months to do it. That's part of the tri-party agreement. Is that true?
There's a certain,
Right, so if they don't do it, who's gonna do it? When you say 9 months for who to do it, Quaker Engineering's gonna do it?
I think he's talking about 9 months to just start the construction.
No, he said in the beginning, they will not absorb any of the current issues of Tuscany Estates. The pool, the clubhouse, the detention pond, the roads. Tuscany Estates doesn't even have a final code on it yet. I live on Grosseto. Grosseto doesn't either. I don't even have a turnaround. I got 2 freaking feet of mud that I look at every day for 12 years. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm sick of it. I lived there for 12 years, but now you want to sell property. Quaker needs to finish what they haven't finished. So now things are going to be absorbed by Maronda. Well, they don't want anything to do with the current problems. The gentleman said that. Maronda doesn't want that. They give him 9 months. Is that part of the tri-party agreement? That Quaker has to finish that stuff? And if they don't, who does?
The tri-party agreement provides basically that once Maronda would close with Quaker, once all these permits are done, Quaker would have to complete the project or put $120,000. And if you want, we'll give you a copy of the tri-party agreement if you just email the township. But there's a way to get that money from Quaker in terms of the process. That's the whole
Who's
thing.
gonna do it if Quaker doesn't do it?
Township. But they're doing it with Quaker money, okay? Not.
But I thought that there was a bid that TJ did of how much it would be to finish those roads. And it was like 265,000. That's not, bond don't even cover that.
TJ,
So the township's gonna be responsible for it anyway.
TJ, you did calculations, correct?
Yes.
And what were the calculations? You did the
There was
calculations.
our office prepared a cost estimate.
Hey guys, listen up, please.
Sorry, say that again?
Go ahead, TJ.
Back when the tri-party agreement was being negotiated, Banks and Engineers did a walkthrough inspection, identified a list of punch list items, which was also reviewed with Quaker, and we prepared a cost estimate for what the punch list items would cost to correct. That value was then incorporated into the tri-party agreement with a mechanism that Quaker's responsible to place a sufficient amount of money in escrow once I believe once the closing was
Correct.
completed.
And in fact, if I'm correct, when you did the calculations, I think we also had a contingency fee in case if something goes above that, correct?
Yeah.
So the escrow would be to cover all those items that have been identified by you and Quaker is what needs to be done, and basically the cost, and there's also a contingency fee that says, to cover anything beyond that, correct?
Yes. It's 110% of the original cost estimate from 2024 when we did it last year.
Okay?
Mr. Makel, if I may, I think what the question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, is
Just say your name once more.
Lisa Burkhart, B-U-R-K-H-A-R-T, Tuscany Estates Association attorney. I think the question before you right now is, if Maronda and Tuscany do not close, and that additional cash security is not placed into the township, what happens with the unfinished infrastructure that exists right now?
So that's basically, if the township doesn't grant conditional use, so we're back to square one again.
We still don't have our infrastructure.
But again, the tri-party agreement, as you're well aware, we discussed that with you a number of times, and so.
Sure.
And basically, my position was, I didn't want this sell, if it were to go through by the township, I didn't want the folks living there right now to be holding an empty bag. And so that's the reason why we put that escrow thing and have a certain catalyst when it kicks in. But that escrow would basically cover the cost that would be done. And it was done very meticulously in order to protect the residents living right now.
I understand. I just wanted to clarify the question as I
Sure.
understood it.
But there's money bid in escrow for years and years and years of Tuscany Estates did. Years, long time. Where's that money? And back then, the township was supposed to.
There's no escrow that I'm aware of.
Bond.
It's a bond, outstanding bond that Quaker Engineering had to finish everything, and the township said at that time, if the bond
Well,
didn't
that's the
cover it,
bond-
they would do it.
That's the good.
So when you say we're back to square one, we really aren't, because where's that bond money?
Suppose the bond has expired a long time ago.
So who dropped the ball on that? How did it expire and nobody knew?
No, I think, let me just tell you what we did, because I think we contacted the bond company, I think they're, what's that?
The owner in the back has to raise his hand.
I'm Bruce Clausen.
I can't hear you, sir.
Clarity.
I can't hear you.
His name is Bruce Clausen, Quaker Engineering, but I'll bring him the microphone. Tell him to hold up.
K-L-A-S-S-E-N.
Hold on, Mr. Clausen.
And I'm with Quaker Engineering.
Would you mind passing that
I'm the
back?
original member that put the plan together.
Sir, we're gonna give you a microphone. Can you please speak into it?
It's on.
Hello?
Go
Can you
ahead.
hear it okay?
And put it to your mouth.
Can you hear it okay?
Yes.
First of all, just to clarify Lisa Mannion's comment and Mr. Makel's comment about the bond. There's a bond that's been in place since we've been on this property. The bond started off originally at $2 million, it's currently sitting at $140,000. And that's what's remaining left to be done relative to the items that we had available on our checklist to be completed. As it stands today, I do want to make a comment about the earlier discussions as well, considering I did put this plan together. There was an approved plan, and there still is an approved plan that is in existence. It's not been canceled at this point in time, and it does have a throughway through the Boykin plant. And it has always been that way, since I started this in 2004. I remember that. This has been something that's been going on for years, and where this came up, where there wasn't going to be a second ingress and egress, has got me a little confused myself, and I'm the developer. So, as it stands, I surely understand a lot of the circumstances and comments that are coming from the people in Boykin, as well as those in Tuscany Estates. And as a developer, I'm not looking to shoot myself in the foot, but quite frankly, I have to say that I find it very unusual, considering the traffic study that we paid for originally. We had a huge traffic study that was done.
Where is it?
Pardon me, it's in the hands of Maronda and Gateway Engineering as of last Friday. And I'm sorry that it wasn't available prior to that, it has been made available for years. We've never left anybody without knowledge as to what's going on. Now, I will say, as the original developer, I left the development in 2010. My brother-in-law and the owner of the property is Earl Danielson, and he basically had issues that changed the development in 2015, 2016, and that's when we lost the NPDES. And I'll admit to you folks, I'm not out here to make a big bunch of money. That wasn't ever the deal. It was never about a big bunch of money. It was about putting a plan together that would have a value to the township, so the township could generate a better tax base. Because when we started off, there really wasn't a large tax base within the township. And in addition to that, the schools were having challenges. You were losing residents. You know, we were here to help develop and further develop the township into what it was going to be in the future. And if you all recall, that was even at the same time that Walmart was trying to get in, and now here we've got Tractor Supply, we lost the Walmart. I mean, there was a number of things that were going on at that time that, from the developer's standpoint, were very positive for Union Township.
I need him to use the microphone.
If you could use the microphone.
It's difficult for me to hold up.
Well, then you're gonna have to come closer.
Come up here then, yes.
I'd be happy to do it. All right, so what were the other questions that, I'll answer any questions that are available from my standpoint, really. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to talk with all the folks that are involved in this. It was a plan that I put together, we started this in buying the plan, we bought it from Isabel Boyka in 2002. And that was the original foundation of the plan. And the original foundation of the plan, just so that everybody knows, when the supervisors were working with us in 2002, 2003, we put in an original plan through Victor Wetzel and Associates. And that was through the Boyka plan to complete basically what the Mr. Boyka had started back in the 50s. So, we put in for 149 residents. And without question, as TJ indicated, there's a limit of 40 residents for a single ingress egress. Well, we ended up buying the Fawcett property, which was contiguous with the Boyka plan. And that gave us the opportunity to open up 2 ingress egress for the plan so that we could suit the 600, the EDUs that are in the plan. Actually, there's 653 EDUs, which are basically toilet outlets, if you will. And this plan has been a challenge since 2006, quite frankly. If you all remember, in 2006, we shut down Clairton Municipal Authority because the approval that was given by the DEP for the EDUs exceeded the capacity that was available for the Clairton Municipal Authority. So what we did to try to project a value to the township has turned into a very difficult circumstance for a lot of people, unfortunately. And I will tell you, I'm very sorry about that, because I will tell you all, I'm equally involved in this thing financially in a big way. In a much bigger way than most people have in accounts, quite frankly, and it's very difficult for me. I've lived almost poor for the last 20 years, and I'm not looking for any empathy or anything, but that's the way it is. That's the way my life is. Because I supported this plan from my own pocket, and it's my personal investment to try to get this thing completed. So, as it stands today, I don't know what direction that we're going here, because when I heard initially about this single ingress egress with some sort of a safety or whatever exit it would be, I surely didn't understand myself. Okay, I didn't understand myself.
I got a question. Okay, the bond issue, now we've tried to contact, Michelle has probably a better memory than I do, but we've tried contacting that bond company concerning this matter. That company's merged or is no longer around.
Yeah, I'm happy to give anybody the number that you need.
All right.
I mean, the bond is good, it's good, it renews every June. Every June, that bond renews, and it's paid every year.
All right, can you provide me a copy of the bond and do the contact?
We have a copy of the bond, but the surety company that we have
Yeah,
been
I'd be happy to
contacted
no problem.
has either sold it off, or they have closed, or, like mortgages get sold, they don't own the bond
No
anymore.
problem. That's not a problem.
Can you get those to us by Friday?
If you Dennis, I'll do anything. And you jump through hoops for me, I'll do the
It'll
same.
be 2 weeks.
So is there any other questions that I can answer as it relates to, please, go ahead.
Are you saying that if this conditional use is not granted, that you're gonna fulfill all of your promises to the residents of Tuscany Estates?
I'm saying right now that I
May I
haven't already.
finish, please?
Oh, Jesus.
I've been involved in this for over 6 years.
Yes.
And not once have you done what you said you were gonna do within the time frame you were gonna do it. For example, under the tri-party agreement, you're supposed to be deeding over common elements free and clear of liens. You've been promising title reports for 4 months on end, and you're sitting here talking about the financial burden. How do you think they feel? They purchased homes in this plan. So if there's a financial burden on anyone, it's the people in this room from Tuscany Estates.
What has been, and
So are
I
you
don't, I can't get
committed
into
to
that. I am
finish?
committed,
Are
absolutely.
you committed to finish?
I've been
This is
committed
not
since the
written.
beginning, Lisa.
Then
This is
hand over the
ridiculous.
common
One at a
property.
time.
Pardon me?
Then hand over the common property.
I'm just waiting on Maronda to get the deeds turned back over to us. When we made the sale to them in 2021, okay, this is exactly what happened. When we made the sale to them in 2021, all of the titles were transferred to Maronda's name, okay?
They're
Now,
not in Quaker's name, that's what you're saying? The tax liens aren't in Quaker's name?
can you bear with me a second? Can you bear with me? Because they were transferred in that agreement, they need to be deeded, not deeded back to us, but transferred back to us, okay? We have all them in our name, the taxes have been paid, everything's good.
You're representing tonight all of the common area parcels are free of tax liens.
Should be tomorrow morning, yes.
So,
There's no liens. No, there's no liens. We did pay all the taxes. Yeah, no, there's no liens. The new year taxes are due and we're paying those. Yeah, so no, that's, my wife is doing that. As a matter of fact, she spoke with, or left a message for Tammy. Bear with me, whoever who's Tammy? Hi.
Hold on.
Yes.
I think he wasn't sworn in, you came in late. Could you swear him in? Just to.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you will give and that you have previously given is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. Without question.
And the testimony, the statements you made before the question, those were the chief, right?
Absolutely. And I have nothing to hide from anybody. This has been an ongoing battle. A lot of it's been driven by my brother-in-law. But to answer your question, Lisa, all I'm waiting on is for them to give us a letter back that states that we have them back in our hands. And then we'll be ready to give everything back to you and be ready to transfer that parcel to you. Okay, the pool as well as the clubhouse.
All right.
we're not talking about that, we're
Okay.
talking about the other common areas.
And the common areas will be the same. Okay,
All right.
we'll transfer also the common areas. Okay, all that's good. We want it done as quickly as usual, believe me.
All right, I got a question.
Thank you.
Because, let me just ask one. I was at a meeting the other day in another township with a developer. And he said, a guy named Matt Keith, are you having any discussions with him about buying your development or not?
No. I haven't talked to anybody. I don't talk to anybody that has to do with Quakers development other than the people in Union Township and the Maronda and Gateway. That's it.
Well, and again, in all due respect, the thing is about granting conditional use, and let's try to keep it that, but go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir, you referenced earlier that you understood that there was already an approved access going up through Boyka to get to Tuscany. My question is that a matter of public record,
It is.
and where would we find that?
It is.
Where would an attorney find that?
I will tell you this, sir.
He doesn't have it.
I do have it.
Is that a matter of
I
public
absolutely,
record?
Because you never provide anything.
One second,
I-
one at a
I
time.
didn't- wait a minute, I'm gonna make one comment to everybody here. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to talk to everybody. But I'm sure as hell not gonna take abuse from people in Tuscany Estates. I have been the one that has tried diligently to make things right. Diligently. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it, I don't have to worry about it beyond this. And I mean, beyond tonight, this is not my issue. Okay, it belongs to Quaker Engineering. I'm here to talk about what we can do to make a resolve and get it back on track.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we understood 19 years ago or whatever it was, that was not
2004.
approved, and, so my question is, where would we find that? Is it a matter of public record? Where would my attorney be able to research that and find that?
You'd have to go through Union Township, but I can assure you that since
Does
they've had,
anybody
bear
on the
with me,
board of
bear with me, they've had three
supervisors know
solicitors.
anything as
They've
far
had,
as?
let me, sir, I can just tell you, they've had three solicitors since we went And those three solicitors, and they've had 3 different or 4 different supervisory crews. When Steve Parrish and his crew were all in, I can tell you, we couldn't find records within Union Township for 10 years ourselves.
Well,
And when they came in to
any
go
type
through
of
this
legal
again,
access
I think you had
should be a
difficulty
matter
finding
of
records.
public
did you
record.
not?
Please,
one at a
time.
I mean,
Let
there
me
is
state
a
my
public
point,
record.
then you can talk.
Shoot.
Any legal access like that should be a matter of public record. I'm just asking, where would my attorney find that?
I think you have to go through Union Township. Quaker Engineering has all of our records, and I'll be happy to look back and see.
All
what I
right,
can find.
let's get back.
But we did just
Never
provide
seen
Gateway
it.
with the,
All right.
not, the traffic.
All right, okay, right.
I love this.
All right, sit down back, please. All right, do you need a break, by the way?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break for about 10 minutes.